So, Timothy, do you mind telling the audience why you were the cause of the episode being late this time?
My grandma died, man.
Oh, well, that is a valid excuse. I am terribly sorry. Are you and your family okay?
Yeah, man, I mean, they're fine. I'm fine. She lived a long and happy life, and like my parents said, she fell asleep and woke up with my grandpa, so, you know.
Well, that is beautiful.
Yeah, she was pretty great. A lot of good memories.
Yes, well, bully for you. Rest in peace, Grandma.
Yeah, rest in peace, Grandma. So wait, what were you saying about a black Nazi in the comments section of a porn website?
Ah, yes, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson of North Carolina, and potentially the next future governor of the state.
Oh yeah, didn't he also say he wanted to take away women's right to vote and bring back slavery so he could own a few himself or something like that?
The very same, and he is the symbol of a bigger growing problem in these United States.
What, the Nazi problem? The divisiveness?
All of the above, which has led to perpetual political violence.
Oh yeah, which is what, our new normal now?
Well, you'll have to find out tonight on America, the podcast.
Or you could just tell me now.
Nope, song first.
Hello, America! It's America, the podcast!
I mean, based on everything he said in the past, it doesn't surprise me that he said any of this. It's just weirder that it came out in a comment section of a porn site. Why do they even have comment sections?
Don't act like you didn't know they had comment sections.
I didn't, let alone blog forums too?
Yes, that was indeed strange. Why are you spending so much time there, everyone? Go do something else.
Yeah, just don't do anything violent.
Yes, well, that will be hard for an American.
Yeah, but one could argue that, humans are generally just violent creatures.
Indeed, and then you throw politics into the mix and it gets real squirrely real fast.
Yeah, but political violence here has been only really happening, past couple of years, though?
Oh, absolutely. Political violence is totally a new thing in this country if you don't count the 1770s, 1780s, 1790s, 1800s, 1810s, 1820s, 1830s, 1840s, 1850s, 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, 1890s, 1900s, 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, but Corey Hart was there and it was awesome. 1990s and NWA was there, so it was even better. 2000s, Limp Bizkit. 2010s, Rihanna, I guess. And then the 2020s.
You could have just said it's been ingrained into our country from the beginning. It would have taken you a lot less time.
Yes, but then I couldn't have made my Corey Hart joke.
Was Corey Hart even that famous?
Said by somebody who clearly did not live through the 80s.
I was born in the 80s.
Yes, but did you live?
I don't know how to answer that.
Good, because we're not talking about that. We're supposed to be talking about political violence.
Then talk about it.
What, do you want to fight? Get him, America the dog.
Oh my God, chill out. Is that the sound a dog should make?
I have no idea.
Okay, just talk about political violence, man.
All right. As I subtly hinted at, political violence in these United States has been built into the fabric of this country and existed since the very beginning. The Boston Massacre, the War of 1812, the Civil War, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, the White Retaliation to the peaceful Civil Rights Movement, political assassinations and assassination attempts on both presidents and civil rights leaders, with 2 recent attempts on the life of former President Donald Trump.
Yeah, and a lot of these political assassination attempts and assassinations were either done by unhinged individuals, like the guy who tried to kill Reagan, who just got out of prison, by the way. And then you have politically motivated ones that were really only politically motivated by right-wing people most of the time, if not always. Am I wrong?
Well,
yeah, man. I mean, the guy that tried to kill Reagan was trying to impress a 12-year-old Jodie Foster after he saw Taxi Driver. The guy that killed James A. Garfield thought he was the Antichrist.
Which he wasn't. We vetted him.
Yeah, well, good for you. But then you got right-wingers that shot Kennedy, Lincoln, Martin Luther King. The first guy that tried to kill Trump was a right-wing gun nut.
Yes, and the second one was not. His political views were in fact scattered all over the place. And there was the man who tried to kill Steve Scalise during a baseball game, who himself turned out to be a Bernie Sanders supporter.
So what? Political assassinations are...
Not just for right-wingers. In fact, political violence is for everybody. It's an equal opportunity employer.
All right, explain.
Well, you have the Tea Party burning effigies of Obama, leading all the way to January 6th, where a mob invaded the Capitol and caused the deaths of several different people. And then you can turn to the George Floyd protests, where people burnt down a Target, a police station, took over a city block of Seattle. And I'd be willing to bet you approve of one set of political violence and not the other.
I mean, that's kind of not really a loaded question, right? Like, one was caused by a madman trying to subvert democracy where people actually died and died after from suicide because of the, just the awfulness of that day. Not to mention, that one terrorist lady, Lauren Babbitt, who was also shot and killed because she tried to enter. She lost her life that day because of all of this crazy rhetoric that Trump put out. Whereas the George Floyd protests were a response, just like when Martin Luther King was killed, when Malcolm X was killed, to, a system of racism in this country. And, oh no, a Target was burnt down and a police station was burnt down. Like, I'm not condoning political violence of any kind, but that's property compared to one, democracy, and a human life. It's different things. Not to mention the Seattle thing was, oh no, a city block was taken over and some businesses suffered for a little bit. I'm sorry. I have a hard time having sympathy for a few buildings, but you cannot compare the George Floyd protests to January 6th in their motives. They are very different things.
Yes, but they are violence, correct?
Of course, but you have to acknowledge that more right-winger caused violence is happening in this country than that caused by the left wing. The left wing marches down the street saying, our body, our choice, and repeating the names of people killed by the police. The right wing marches down the street saying Jews will not replace us, while carrying Nazi flags.
Oh, you are not wrong in anything that you are saying, as much as it pains me to admit that, but I believe your original question was, is this the new normal?
And my feeling is that it certainly feels like it.
Well, my friend, then I am here to assure you that it is indeed not the new normal.
Oh, well then.
It has been the norm in these United States, like I said, since the beginning.
That was misleading.
You're welcome.
I wasn't thanking you.
Well, you should.
Oh my God. Despite this violence being the normal in this country, it's been around since the very beginning, blah, blah, blah. You have to admit that the right wing has perpetuated it more, correct?
Oh, absolutely. It was the Tea Party who stoked the flames. It was Donald Trump who sent the angry terrorist mob to the Capitol. It is regularly right-wingers who commit mass shootings. And Trump's rhetoric does not help. He has said that if he loses, it will be a bloodbath. He called a group of Nazis very fine people. He's regularly shown support for right-wing terrorist groups, and so on and so forth.
And then he turns around and regularly blames the left for calling him a fascist threat to democracy as the reason behind his, assassination attempts.
Which one, and only one, i.e. Donald Trump and, his collective hive mind followers, can argue that that is the case. However, calling Donald Trump a threat to democracy and a fascist when he constantly talks about fascist things, supports fascist ideals, and has talked about stopping voting altogether, which itself is, the end of democracy, then at some point the duck is a duck when it looks and sounds and smells, definitely smells like a duck. Ducks, by the way, do not smell very good. They also have a corkscrew penis, just like, say it with me, Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know. So then what is the way out of this? I mean, this violence can't last forever. There isn't political violence in every country. What are they doing that we're not?
Well, the countries that don't have any sort of political violence like this, they just simply provide for their citizens food, housing, education, the like.
Well, yeah, I know that exists, but is that really the reasoning?
Pretty much. I mean, the Dutch are closing down a bunch of prisons because they provided so much for their people that there's so little crime that they don't have anybody to put in those prisons. Not like in America, we have the most prisoners.
That's not a good thing.
It is if you're heavily invested in for-profit prisons.
Which you're not, right?
Let's say no.
Oh my God.
As I was saying, when you don't provide for your citizens, things can get a little squirrely. Take the good old days of feudalism, when kings and queens would regularly give their citizens ample time off, as well as food and health care. Otherwise, those citizens would rise up and, start chopping off heads.
Yeah, but I don't think lack of provisions are necessarily the driver for people in this country to start committing political violence, like mass shootings. It's usually here race-based, no?
Not always. Sometimes it's a disturbed student, like in Columbine or any school shooting recently. But broadly speaking, violence of any kind happens when someone feels unsafe, uncared for, correct?
In some very primal, basic way, I think I can agree with that, maybe?
That's fine, because violence as a whole is a complicated issue, to say the least. But political violence itself can be curbed. Racism can be educated out, food can be provided to people, housing can be provided to people, and safety can be provided to people. But in order for that to happen, cooler heads need to be in the room. Donald Trump is not one of those cool heads. In fact, his go-to move is throwing gasoline and any other flammable material on the fire. Versus Kamala Harris, who has been endorsed by hundreds of Republicans and hundreds of military and intelligence officials.
Is that a good thing, though? I mean, she's a fucking Democrat, man.
It's kind of the enemy of my enemy is my friend scenario, which we'll talk about on the next episode.
But for now,
I close on this. Unfortunately, my friends, the political violence in this country is here to stay, at least for a while. But consider this, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz win the presidency, and Donald Trump, who has said he will not be running again, finally starts to fade into the pasture, playing golf or sitting by his pool or whatever he does. I doubt he swims. As for the Republicans, they finally come to and realize, hey, this doesn't work. Trump keeps making us lose every single election, which he has done historically since 2016, at least statistically. And then with that realization, Trumpism either fades or is severely tempered down, and the political violence either goes away or just becomes lesser than it was. But like I said, it is here to stay at least for a while. The only true way to get rid of political violence and violence of any kind in your country and community is to create a country and community of nonviolence. And that itself comes from simply being good to those around you and providing for your neighbors. Once America can figure out how to do that, well, then things would look a little bit more peachy.
Okay, well, do you know how to make that happen?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you gonna tell anybody?
Sure, if you pay me $7 trillion.
What? Why?
I'm a capitalist, Timothy, and this is a very valuable solution, so I'm not just gonna give it away for free. What do you think I am, crazy?
You realize that now makes you the reason that none of this will end, right?
Well, I'm the embodiment of America. What did you expect?
Fair enough, I guess.
Oh, it's not fair. I made sure of that. You know how capitalism works, right?
Yes, I do. Please end the show.
All right, don't get so violent.
Oh my God.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to this show wherever you get your podcasts and on the America the Podcast Presents page on YouTube. We will be in your ears again in 2 weeks, and the Cute News team will be out this Friday after the vice presidential debate to give their cute little breakdown. You can follow the Cute News team on TikTok at cute.news and on YouTube at Cute News Team. And you can find this show under @America the Podcast wherever you watch your social media content. Thanks for listening, and in the words of the greatest philosophers to ever live, Ted Theodore Logan and Bill S. Preston Esquire, be excellent to each other. And in my immortal words, for now and as always, good night and good fight.
It's America, the podcast.
You've been listening to America, the Podcast, the original series. The show stars Tim Phillippe and Theb starred the embodiment of and only hope for America as themselves. Any additional voices heard in this episode were portrayed by the fabulous cast of voice actors listed in the show notes. The amazing America, the Podcast theme song you are listening to is by Timmy Two Step, and all other music and sounds heard in this show were procured through Story Blocks, Pixabay, freesound.org, and Sonus. America, the Podcast is recorded at Shway Media Studios in Austin, Texas, and is mixed and edited by Tim Phillippe. Executive producers for this show are Alana Matos, Tim Phillippe, and Thebadiah Starred. For more information, please visit shwaymedia.com and americathepodcast.com. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.
This has been a production of Shway Media, all rights reserved. For more information, please visit shwaymedia.com.